it is worth asking, these vows that we take in sickness and in health, they're very serious, and you do have to really think, am I putting that person above myself? Am I willing to sacrifice for that person? Hey, and welcome back to the series about questions to ask your significant other before entering into engagement or marriage with them. I really hope that these questions are helpful and fruitful to your relationship and are bringing up really healthy discussions, debates, conversations. And this is video 5, so we're talking about difficult situations. So please go back and rewatch the others if you haven't seen them before. And let's get into it, because of course, this life is hard. We are pilgrims on our way to heaven, and so life on earth isn't perfect, and there are going to be trials and tribulations. So knowing how your person is going to deal with them is going to be so helpful and fruitful. And of course, you can't ever know in a hypothetical, but it's good to just be aware, because this is going to bring up subjects and topics that you might not have thought of. So let's get in. So number 1, what's your relationship with drugs and or alcohol? It's a good question to ask to find out what their past has been, if there have been any addictions, or what their relationships are like. So do they have a healthy one with alcohol? It might be that they like a glass of wine with dinner. I sure do. And of course you want to find out if there are any issues with drugs or anything like that. So bring it up now, because you don't want this to necessarily be something that comes up later when things are harder, when you're 3 or 4 kids in and there are work stresses and all these kind of things. So it's good to bring it up and to see if there are any reliance on substances like alcohol or anything. Another really important question to ask is, if you guys had problems conceiving, would you be open to adoption? How would you handle that? And this is also something that's an important question when discerning the person, because you never want to use someone for a guarantee of family life, because that isn't a guarantee, sadly. So you don't ever want to just enter into a marriage because you want children. So it's a good question to also ask yourself, if I knew that we weren't able to conceive, would I still marry this person? So again, it's nice to talk about as a couple, to really, see what your options are. And then expanding on that, if you guys were given the cross of infertility in your marriage, are you confident that you would still, love each other and want to be married? Of course, this is a really difficult cross for many couples. So it's worth talking about it and discussing it openly and seeing, how supportive of each other you'd be, and to ensure there was no, resentment or underlying guilt or bitterness or anything like that, because it's an incredibly difficult position to be in, and it's really, I think, imperative actually, that you do discuss it before entering into marriage. If I were to become incapacitated, so temporarily or permanent, after marriage, would it change your love for me? Our lives are not guaranteed. Nothing about our present, our day, we could step outside our house and be hit by a car and be wheelchair bound for the rest of our life. So it is worth asking, these vows that we take in sickness and in health, they're very serious, and you do have to really think, am I putting that person above myself? Am I willing to sacrifice for that person and to suffer with them or alongside them? So again, I know it's a difficult topic and it might seem really far away, and God forbid that anything like that ever happened, but again, it's good to go into marriage with confidence, or into engagement with confidence, that you'd be on the same page. So this is a question that's really close to my heart. So do you view life from conception? No exception. So, this goes into a question, what would you do if your child had a disability? So for me personally, I see life as from God, in whatever form, and that would be something that would be really important to me, that this person really sees life starting from conception. So again, have these difficult conversations, talk about it. And regarding, if you did have a child with a disability, how would you handle that? Would one parent stay at home? Would one parent study loads about, whatever condition it was that child had? It's good to have these conversations, as difficult and hard as they may be. Then how will we deal with ill or aging parents? Is there an expectation that they'll ever live with us? Finding out what is the plan, or do you have any single siblings who might want to live with you? Talking about these kind of, life hasn't quite turned out as planned. How will we deal with that? And yes, as parents age, what is your plan? Is it your hopes that they would live with you and you'd care for them, both sides? Again, always worth talking about at this point. What are your expectations of a spouse in view of sickness or suffering? That term unconditional love, like how will you really manifest that if your partner was, suffering from a long illness and not able to do anything, not able to work? Like, it's good to discuss this and see. Are we aligned on ideas for the education and healthcare of our children? Are one of you really keen on homeschooling and the other one's not? Is one of you really holistic and the other one's really into modern medicine? It's so important to ensure that you're aligned on this, because these are things that could cause serious issues and arguments around your children's welfare in the future. How much do you value time together versus time apart? Are you someone who needs a lot of alone time, or do you need to, be with your person every single day? These are things that are going to come up when you live together, and also when you have children and your family lives, and you're going to need to know what to prioritize. How do you handle change or the unexpected? Are you someone who's really resilient and really fluid and flexible, or do you freak out when something's different? Again, it's great to understand and to see if there is complementarity between you two, and to just be able to really, get inside the head of the other person. Next question is, how do you, as a man or a woman, like to be supported? How do you handle your emotions? Again, are you someone who freaks out and needs to have a pep talk, or do you need your own time and space to process things? It's just good to understand, how you can be the best partner for that person. And then finally, the big question is there anything I need to know about you before I can fully discern if you should be my spouse? They say that the decision to marry someone, needs to be free. It needs to be fruitful. You need to be open to life. It needs to be, fully engaged with your will. So you can only be free to choose someone if you really know them. So if you have any issues you need to bring up, any past addictions, or any, things that you really feel that person needs to know about you in order to make that decision freely and wholeheartedly and with their free will, now is the time to bring it up, for sure, if you've not brought it up before. So definitely worth asking to just double check, triple check that question. So I hope that these have been helpful. I know that these topics are very serious, and they don't come up in natural conversations, so it might be a bit awkward to talk about, and God willing, these are all hypotheticals, most of them anyway, but if they aren't, how will you handle them? You want to be able to enter into something with someone confidently. So I hope this has been helpful. Please subscribe to Salt for more dating lifestyle content that's all framed around God and theology. And please check out the next video that's coming out about conflict resolution and how we should fight as Christians. Okay, God bless, and thanks so much. See you, bye.